Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. In this video, we are going to play with JSON. So first of all, let me explain you what we are going to do. So assume, basically you will have an external API. Okay, let us say you have an API, like let's say this is URL of your API, something called API 123. This is your API, and this API is going to give you certain outputs. Okay. So assume the API is going to give you output like this. So it is going to provide you an array, and inside your array you are going to have something like this. So let us say like vend group, and let's say it provide you vendor group v1, and similarly assume let us assume it provides you one more, then like vend description, something like this, and you can say v1 description, something like this. Alright, so what I mean to say, let me click here, let me go here, let me prepare my sample JSON first. Okay, so we are going to get output like this. For example, this is my first output. Okay, and now my second output is this. So let's say here I'm getting content like this. Okay, yeah, assume I'm getting something like this, and let me do one thing. Let me create one more here. So be with me, you will be able to understand what we're trying to do. So let me write here v3. Okay, so let us say when you hit this API, it provides you these outputs. Okay, you know, for sure you can have only one output, or you can have hundreds of output. You can take example in your scenario, for example, when you are importing sales order from your external API, so you could leverage the similar concept here. Now in my scenario, what I will do, because I want to show you a demo, so what I will do, I will add all this information into my vendor group. So what I mean to say, using X++ code, I will add this information like this, v1 description, v2 description here, okay, using code. So for that, first of all, I will create an API. So here now when I will copy this API, like when I will call this API, it will give me this output. Okay, so I want to get this data, and I want to create a vendor group from this API. Okay, so for that, like, how can I write code? So we are going to see completely. So what I will do, I will create a new project here. I will say add, I will say new project. I can say this with JSON with X++. And yeah, let me add my class here. So I'm going to create a runnable class. Okay, and let me give name like v1, and I will say add. I will wait for this class to get visible. Okay, so now it is available now. Now whenever we are playing with JSON, we need few objects. So this would be a standard code here. So you will need to write system.net.http web request, because you are playing with API. So the concept here is you will need to use the request and response. So here you can simply say, and then I can define an object here named as web request. Similarly, I can declare it for my response. Now I can say http web response, and here I can simply say web response. Alright, so I've defined both of my object. Okay, Now what we'll do, we'll start writing code. So I'm going to use my try here, and I will simply close this, and here I will need to define a new CLR. So I can simply say new enter permission. Okay, and when you will open this class, you need to provide this particular. So you can simply say enter kind, and we are going to use this CLR one, and I will use exit function. So this is a standard way. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll simply we'll call our API. Okay, so to call our API, we can simply say web request equals to, here I can say system dot net dot web request, and here I can use a function named escalate here. Inside this function, I will need to send my API URL. So the API that I'm going to use is this one. I will copy this, and let me simply paste it here. So this will do a call for me. Okay, and now since this is a free API, okay, publicly available, so there's no authentication, nothing like that. Okay, now whenever you play with your API, so you need to have certain things like what content it is going to provide and what type of method, like whether it is going to be a, since we are only doing a read operation, so we'll use get method here, and our data will be in JSON, so we'll write application JSON here. So let me do this. Here I have simply closed this one, so I can say web request dot, here I will tell which method. So my method would be get. I can say method equals to, here I can simply say get, and then similarly I can say here web, just give me a second here, let me see if it's coming here. Okay, yeah, no worries, I will continue. So here web request dot application dot content type. Okay, I can here give application forward slash, I will need to specify type here, so I will say it will be application JSON, and then I will need to call my API, so that it will give me response inside my this response object. Okay, and I can say web request dot whatever response will get, simply get this one inside my web response. So I'm going to close this function. All right, and now we need to do read, right? So whenever we need to do certain kind of read and write, so at a time we simply will need to use this. So let me write here system.io.stream. okay, and I will define its object. I will say this as response stream. Similarly, I will use this one for reader, so I can simply say here reader. All right, so I'm going to save it. Okay, so now we'll again come back here. So here we have get simply response. Now we are getting some error. Okay, might be this try may be causing issue. So let me write here catch first, and inside my catch, let's save this. Okay, that error wiped out now. So first of all, let me do one thing. Let me write the exception code first. So for that, I will need to declare this system dot exception. Here I will name it as ex exception, and then I will need to write code inside my catch block, to handle this exception. So I can simply say exception equals to CLR 1, and I can say get last exception, and I can use this function get base exception. Alright, and here we can also display it, so I can simply say error, and I will say x dot get. There's a function called get message that will not get you will not get it through intelligence, but it is available there. Okay, so now this standard try catch is completed. Yeah, now we'll focus on our actual code. Okay, so now here inside this we'll simply get a kind of a response. Now we have defined our reader and the stream one object. Let me see. Okay, here this is wrong. Let me put. Okay, now this is fine. Okay, now here I will use my response stream, this particular object, and I can simply say from my web response, because you can't directly read, you need these classes. You can say get response stream, and inside my this reader, like the reader one, I can simply say new system input output reader, and here I will need to provide my input output stream, that is this response stream. I already have output available inside my response stream, so I'll simply copy this and I'm going to paste it here. That's it. So we are able to handle our API as well. And now the content, this content will come inside this particular object. Okay, now eventually you will need a string variable here, so I will declare a string variable and I will name it as output, and inside my this output variable I will get my, so when you say reader, read to end, so basically all the content now will be available inside this particular string. Okay, all right, so now this is all done, all completed. Okay, now we have the response of this API is now available into this particular string object. Okay, now further what I will do, as we will see, like inside this particular object we'll get exactly this content, but we'll have few slashes, braces, etc., etc. That is usually come whenever you run an API. Now what I will do, now to handle this I will need to create a contract class first, because we can't directly use this JSONs. So for that I will simply create a contract class. Now let me go here and I will create my contract class. I will go to new items and I will go to class, and here I can say this has like vend API contract. I will simply click on add. I'll wait for my class to get added. So this would be our similar data contract that we usually create for either batch job, reports, etc., etc. So usually the way we write, we are exactly going to do same thing, data contract. Okay, here we go, and we have simply defined our class. Now we need to define param objects. So if you see our API, so we need a vendor group and we need this vendor description here. So let me go back here. Then I need two objects, right? I need vendor group ID. So you will need to make sure one thing. Okay, so when you type here vendor group, let me go here. So you'll need to have exact same name. Inside your param method, I will tell you exactly what I'm trying to say with this. And now I will define name, and I will declare name as vend description. We'll copy and I'm going to paste it here. Alright, so this is done. Now we are going to create a data member attribute for these two variables. Now I will start writing my param classes. So I will say param vendor group ID. I can see here param vendor group ID, param vendor group ID. Now here I can write vendor group, and here I will simply define the same object. I will say vend group. So this is my method parameter, so I will need to define it like this, and I will say equals to, then I will say vend group, and here I will simply assign the value. So I can say vend group equals to vend group, and then I can simply return my vend group. Alright, now let me copy this and let me correct this. This should be small. Okay, now the interesting thing here is when you will add data member attribute here. Okay, what is the error? Okay, cannot explicitly convert. Okay, so first of all, let me complete this data member attribute. Yeah, so here it will need to have same name like this. We copy this, copy this, copy this, and copy this. So the reason, because in your JSON you are getting exactly same output, vend group. Alright. Yep. Okay, so one second. I think here we'll have vend group ID only. Yes. Okay, now let me save it. Okay, this is working fine. Now what I will do, let me write it only instead of copying. So I will say data member attribute, and now this time I'm going to create it for my vendor description. So I need to give exact same name. I say vend description. I will close this. My syntax is ready. I can say public name. I can say param vend description, and then here I can specify name. I can now define my parameter, and I will say equals to vend description. I will simply close this now here. Alright, and here I can simply now return this. For return I need to set this with this vend description, and at the end I can simply return my vendor description. Alright, so my data contract is ready. Now I will again go back to my code here. Now this would be interesting here. Now I'll write list because I'm going to get an output of list. So if you see here, I'm going to get more than one collection. So then I will say JSON list equals to, now I am going to use this famous form JSON serializer, and here as I am going to use my collection class, so I will say I'm going to use this one, the deserialized collection one. Okay, and now here I need to specify class ID. So I'm going to get my list. So I will simply say here list. So I have simply provided my class ID, and it is saying the serialized value, that is nothing, this one. Okay, so here I can specify now output, because it will do every job for us, we don't need to worry. And here it will be available inside my class. Then I need to provide the string of my class. So class str. So what is my class? This is my class, like vend API contract. So I need to specify this one, vend API contract. That's it. Okay, so we are done. till here. Now we'll get all the objects inside this list. Now I can iterate through list, and I can do inside operation as well. Now I will use a list enumerator here. So let me define a list enumerator here. I can say list enumerator equals to, from my JSON list I can easily get enumerator. Then I am going to pass through every element. So I can say while my list enumerator dot move next, and here I can write my that code for insertion. So I'm going to do insertion in my when table. So I can define my when table here. So it's a when table. Let me go now here. Again, I will say when table dot, so dot when group equals to. So using my list enumerator, I can easily get all this information. Alright, so before this I will declare my when API contract. Here I can say contract equals to, I can say list enumerator dot current item. Okay, now the data will be available inside my contract, so then I can use my param methods here. So I can simply say contract dot, I can specify my param vendor group ID here, copy, and I'm going to do this. Then I will say when table dot what was the field name? Field name is name of this method I selected. Let me write here name. This when group doesn't have any name. Let me go here and see. Copy here, go here. Okay, name method is available inside when. Oh, okay. Oh, something I did wrong. I'm playing with when group here, so let me correct here. Let me say this as when group. Let me save this, and now I'll get error here. Definitely I should get. So I will remove this. Now I will again simply say here when group dot when group, and here I can again say when group dot name equals to, I can say my contract dot param. Let me again dot, let me save it first. So contract dot, let me see if there is anything that is getting wrong. Let me remove this first. Let me try to save it one time. I will say now when group dot name equals to contract dot param vendor description, and then at the end, as I want to insert the data, so I will use insert here. And now it might give us an error of TTS begin and commit as well. Let me cut it from here. Let me place this one here, and I will say TTS begin here, and here I will do TTS commit. So we have written a good amount of code. Now we'll do a compile, we'll do a build, and we'll see how it works. Okay, and so let me do one thing. Okay, let me do build. Alright, so my runnable class is completed, and now here you can see now this data is available. So using an external API, we were able to directly create record inside our vendor group. So let's go back to code one more time. So the prerequisite here was we need to have an API, and this is a publicly free API. So I don't need to do any kind of authentication and extra piece of code. Here I have defined all these objects like to get my request, response, to read, and this one is for exception, and this one is to store my JSON. Then here I simply call this API using this web request.create function. Here I simply specified my here I specified my type. So I'm simply doing a get operation and application JSON, because in this example I'm only reading the content. Then I get response here, then I use my this reader one here, then we read it to end and we provided all the information to output. Then using this form JSON serialize class, we basically deserialized this one. We were getting a list, so we specified here, then we specified our this content here, then we specified it as a class. Here we also created a contract class as well, and we defined our param methods, that is vendor group and vendor description here. And then using our list, we simply read every content, and we simply read insertion and followed by the status begin and commit. And here at the end we were having code to get the exception. So this was a short and quick introduction about how we can play with APIs in X++. Now in our next video we'll create a complex one. So we'll create a complex and we'll write code for that in next video. So thank you for watching this video. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.